Everything you've ever wanted is trying to come into your life right now. If it hasn't shown up yet, you're doing something to block it. And the moment you stop, it shows up fast. And we're going to talk about that today. But before I get started, I want to invite you to like, subscribe, and share, and definitely hit that bell notification. And let's get started. What do I mean by this? Well, basically, you're broadcasting your personal signature vibration, and you're doing it all day long. You can't help it. It's part of who you are. You see, I personally believe you were born with a specific vibration, something that you want to bring into this life. It's something that you're supposed to manifest. But as we grow and mature, we build an ego. It makes sense. A baby needs an ego. A baby needs a personality while it's learning. It's a defense mechanism. It's something that keeps it safe, keeps it alive, and protects it. But I believe that at a certain age, just like training wheels, we're meant to remove that personality and let out our gifts. We're meant to let out what we came here to give the world. It's all part of the game. The game is, can you let go of all these self-doubt, limiting beliefs, everything that's been holding you back, and let out the part of you that's dying to express itself. See, most people live a life of quiet desperation, of fear. They're always playing it safe. They're being careful. This curse the middle class. I talked about that in one of my last videos. It's this art of being safe. And when you begin to let go of that, when you begin to trust in something greater than yourself, you begin to get a sense that something's got your back out there, that you have faith in that something, you will begin to let go of all these limitations. This is where a lot of people talk about going through the dark night of the soul, or going through some major trauma that causes them to release a major part of their personality that was holding them back, and then something new comes out of them. Well, I believe you have that inside you. I believe you have something inside you that's ready to come out. Now, I don't think you have to go through a major trauma or a huge dark night of the soul to start letting it out. You just have to get down to the subconscious mind, down to the deep parts of the mind where the identity is stored, that limiting identity that it gets built up at a young age, and especially if you had a traumatic childhood, and begin to break it up. The more you break it up, the more your true personality comes out. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. This is an exciting topic for me, and it's what the core of this channel is about, because this channel is really about setting you free. It's about helping you to become the most real version of you, the you that's been buried deep down inside. It's about opening Pandora's box and getting everything out of there as fast as possible so that you can drop the chains and go free. Now, the important part of this is that personality that's deep inside never stops radiating, never stops craving being set free, never stops trying to express itself. But we can hold it back. We can muffle it. We can send out a confusing signal to the world. We can lie to ourselves and push it down. It's really connected to the stuff you think about, usually for the average person, in their secret thoughts, their hopes and their dreams, but they just won't tell anybody. Matter of fact, a lot of times they won't even tell themselves. They lie to themselves. I know this from my personal experience. See, my whole life, I was fascinated by personal growth, the mind, the mindset, meditation. I literally wanted to take martial arts classes because I'd watch those kung fu movies as a kid where everybody was jumping, yelling, and screaming, but I'd see them meditate. And I recognized at a really young age that, in my mind at least, that all their power came from that meditation. The more they meditated, the more powerful their kung fu got. So I said, that's the real secret. That's the secret to everything. That's the secret to becoming powerful in life. And at a young age, I wanted to meditate. I took my first Taekwondo class at 9 years old, and then I wanted to know why our meditation was only 30 seconds before we got started kicking and punching the bags. So I was a little disappointed, but hey, at least I got some good exercise. But anyways, I digress. Let's continue on. Now, that part of me that wanted to come out, that part of me that wanted to learn to meditate, was the first inklings of my gift. As I got older, I wanted to read every personal growth book in the personal growth section. Eventually, it moved towards spirituality and more deep levels of consciousness. I really wanted to master the mind, and I wanted to understand how it worked really bad. But when I talk to the outside world, if you ask me what I wanted to do for a living, I would never say personal growth. No, that's just a hobby. No, no, no. That's just something I do on the side. No, that's nothing I could never do. I even went through a period where I became a hypnotherapist. I spent a year driving an hour and a half to hypnotherapy school in the evening in heavy LA traffic to get to Tarzana from Irvine, if you know that distance. And then I would drive home at night. There'd be less traffic. And I did this for a year, 3-4 days a week, because I really wanted to understand the mind better. But again, I still wouldn't practice. Even after clinic, they made us practice. There was a part of me that was traumatized and scared to practice. That part of me was all the limiting beliefs that were installed on me at a young age. You see, I went through a really rough childhood. There was a lot of emotional abuse, a lot of yelling, screaming. Mother was bipolar. Father was sociopathic. He was a career criminal. And most of my relatives were fairly depressed. And I lived through this and I learned to shut down. I learned to not express myself because the bigger energy I was, the more I got attacked in the household. So expressing my dreams became a pain. And you might be able to relate to this. I want to ask you, is there something inside of you that's burning to come out, but the thought of doing it makes you sick, makes you scared, makes you terrified? Like, I could never do that. That's very different than, it just doesn't interest me. Think about it. If there's a part of you saying, no, 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 I could never do that. That's exactly what I was doing. Then that's a part of you that's probably got some trauma attached to it, something you're holding on to, an aversion or an attachment. And that was the case for me. I really didn't want to let the world see this deep part of myself. So I would deny it to myself and I would deny it to the world. You see, my zone of genius, the part of me that the gift I was meant to give to the world, was resting inside underneath all that fear. And there was nothing scarier than doing the thing I was most meant to do because I had a self-esteem problem, because I didn't like myself, because I didn't want to be rejected for the thing that was most important in my life, the gift I was meant to give. So to get started, to really understand this better, we got to go back to this diagram. If we look at this diagram that I created, and if you haven't seen my last 2 videos, it breaks down this diagram. We talk about it there. So definitely check those videos out. They all came out on the same day, so you can easily catch them all. There'll be a link in this video. If we look at this diagram, a quick, brief overview, we got the physical layer. The physical layer is external reality. It's this table, it's the camera, it's me, it's my life, it's how I look, it's how I live. It's me being in Turkey right now. And that is the life I've created. Then we've got the energetic layer. That's like the blueprint. That's those internal feelings inside of you, images, thoughts, you could say archetype, but the images, the thoughts, what you're projecting in your mind. Like when I look in my mind, I see an image of me being at home in Minnesota with my dad because I'm going to be for Christmas, and I'm super excited. Then I also have images of me being in Montana skiing with my sister and having a blast because I love Montana. I lived in Bozeman for 3 years, and I can't wait to get back. I'm going to be going there right after I spend Christmas with my dad. And so I've got these images, and I'm playing them, and they feel really good in my body. That's the energetic layer. That's the blueprint for the physical layer. This is the echo for that. So, think about that for a minute. At a deeper layer, this is my ability not only to see it in my mind's eye, but to look around and actually feel the ski poles in my hand, feel the skis on my body as if it's happening for real right now. If you've ever seen the Star Trek holodeck, a lot of people haven't for some reason. I thought everybody had seen that. It's kind of like that. So this is the energetic layer. Then we get to the intentional layer, the causal layer, or the identity. This is where your identity is stored. This is where deep subconscious beliefs are stored. And the deepest beliefs are your identity, the ones that were programmed into you at a very young age that define how you see yourself in the world. I am Brian in the world. The I am is in the center. I am is the now. It's the present. I am Brian in the world, having the expression, and I am Brian in the world that loves adventure. And that's the expression of being a skier, comes out energetically, and then I create it in the physical. So think about it that way. And then beyond the I am, everything dissolves together. That's a whole nother topic for another time. So you can see these layers at work. Now, each of these layers has a proactive and a reactive version. The reactive causal layer, right here, where it says intention and identity, that's your ego, that on a reactive level. And on a proactive level, that's your essence, that the core of what wants to be expressed out of you. It doesn't say causal on here, but that you could call it the causal layer too. When we go to the energetic layer, we've got You could say anxiety. You could say it's almost like static gets produced here, confusion in your internal images, and they fight to come to the surface. And we'll get deeper into that in future videos. But that's the next layer, and this is creating this layer. So if there's a lot of confusion in this layer being caused by the programs in your causal layer, then then the physical layer has a lot of confusion in it too. Your life becomes a literal mess. And then we have the I am. And that's like the light in the camera that shines through the film. That's just consciousness. It's expressing itself as you. I am is before the you. And we'll get a little deeper into that with future videos too. Now, when we look at this, when we look at the reactive physical, this is where we have bracing, forcing, efforting, fighting to get ahead. And then on the physical level, we practice embodiment. And as we practice more and more embodiment, that takes us down to the energetic level. As we get more and more unattached to outcome from the body, as I begin to release the attachment to the body, I begin to feel more of these energetic layers. Matter of fact, eventually, the energetic layers become more real than the physical layers. So that's really exciting when that starts to happen. And when I teach energetic embodiment, that's the point of the energetic embodiment course, is to help get you to the point where you start to experience that for real, because that's when you can truly become a powerful manifester. But in a moment, I'm going to talk about the best way to be a manifester, a way that I think works better than all this law of attraction stuff that's out there. Well, it works with it, let's say. And so let's get into that really quick. But before I do, I want to invite you to comment. If there's something that's really connecting with you in this video, if you see yourself in this video, or if there's something you want to know more about, definitely comment. It helps everybody to grow. I learn from it. You guys learn from it. I come up with more content ideas from it. So I'll be checking out those comments the first week the video comes out. Now, this is a really key, important thing that I'm going to say right now. Letting go does not, and I want you to hear this clearly, help you to attract. Letting go does not help you to attract. Well, indirectly it does, but it's not the main source of your attraction mechanism. What it actually does is it stops you from pushing the thing you're meant to attract away. See, I've told men and women over the years that have trouble dating that you are designed to attract the opposite sex. If you're a man, you're designed to attract women for the most part. We could argue about the metaphysics of that, or the reality of it. But if you're a man, you're designed to attract a woman. A woman's designed to attract a man. So if you're not doing that, what inside of you are you holding on to emotionally? What stories, what beliefs that are keeping that person from coming into your life? And this is the same thing with all your wants and everything that you really desire in life. Everything you've desired in life is trying to come into your life. But there's a part of you holding it at bay. And as you learn to let go, you're actually letting go of the blocks to something you naturally do. You naturally attract abundance and success. You are designed to attract success in your life. You are designed to be the expression of your essence. And we're going to get back to that. What is your core personality trying to attract? And when you get in alignment with that, you're going to be surprised at how much more success is going to come into your life. Now, I want to tell you about the surrender experiment. And in one of my previous videos, before I get to that, you might remember that I told a story about how my life really went downhill and crashed. And I had to take a year off because I was super sick and I thought I was dying. And I spent a year meditating, releasing, and letting go. And basically healed my body for the most part. I got about 80% better, changed everything. It was a crazy year. And by the end of the year, all these synchronicities happened. But the amazing thing was, after that year of nonstop releasing, where I was meditating for like 5 hours a day, up to 8 hours a day, I think some days, I ended up building naturally with almost no effort a $2 million a year business. It kind of almost came together around me. That was something I'd been trying to do for years before that with tons of effort. But by doing all the letting go, this whole reality built around me. Now, if we take a look at the book, The Surrender Experiment from Mickey Singer, it's a great book. If you haven't read it, definitely check it out. Mickey Singer talks about his life in that book. He tells the story of his life. And in the story of his life, the key element that makes the story so fascinating is that he bought a plot of land by Georgia in Florida, And he had decided he wanted to spend his whole life living on that plot of land in his little shack, meditating and praying to God. He wanted to surrender everything. He told God, I don't really want anything but this little plot of land, and I want to meditate and pray and surrender to you. That's what my whole life's about. And in the process of doing that, he also made one other commitment. He realized he needed to make one other commitment. I almost forgot this. That whatever I feel like you're really asking me to do, I will do. And in the process of doing that, as he began to surrender and tried to say no to things, then realized he was being asked from a deeper, more spiritual place, he began to say yes. Not because he chose it, but because he kept surrendering to God. And in that process, his life blew up. If you don't know the story of his life, he ended up working with prisoners on death row and doing tons of rehabilitation work and bringing some prisoners that were murderers to God. He ended up building a giant construction company built with love, where he built all kinds of houses in the neighborhood. His plot of land kept growing now on its own as more and more people moved there and kept acquiring more land, even though he didn't want to. He ended up building a software company worth it was hundreds of millions of dollars, I think, when it was all said and done. He ended up being on Oprah Winfrey. He ended up writing 2 best-selling books. I think now he's at 3. His life just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. He didn't even want to be a father. He ended up becoming a father and loved it. It was kind of wild, he said. He said, the more I surrendered, the more things just showed up in my life. And a lot of times he said, I was resisting the things at first, but when he finally let them in, there was a part of him that was really happy he did it. It was like this expression of who he was in the end. And I know I'm paraphrasing. But if you haven't read the book, definitely check out the book. You see, that was what I believe wanted to come out of him. That's what was buried inside of him. And it was being held back. And through the letting go process, he let it out. I know this again from my personal life. I pushed, force, and made myself sick and almost killed myself, put myself to a point where I thought I was going to die at least. And through all the releasing, my whole life has turned around. Now I travel the world. I got to an abundance level I never thought I'd ever get to. I always thought I'd live in a trailer park. Everything changed in my life. And everything changed as I got more and more in alignment with who I really am. As I dove deeper into personal growth and surrendered to that reality. Because I didn't want to do it. Matter of fact, when I began to practice personal growth for the first time, I got stomach sick. And after I got over it, and I'm talking about practicing it as a career, and after I got over the stomach sickness, it took me about 2 weeks of working with clients, I blew up. I became happier and more alive, and I finally found a job I loved. And I began to wonder, as I was sitting there in a hypnotherapy office, I began to ponder, is this what it's like to really love your work? As I began my journey down my zone of genius. And we've all got a zone of genius. You have a zone of genius. So what I'm saying here is that attraction is automatic. When you let go enough and you get the blocks out of the way, the limiting beliefs out of the way, the reactive causal layer, the ego, whatever name we want to give it, and you go through that, your field, there's a field around you. We'll talk about that in some of these videos too. That field will naturally expand. When that field expands, not from effort, not from force, but from the natural flow of you becoming embodied and energetically embodied, then you become a natural attraction machine. It's like the antenna turns on, and everything that had been running away from you in life starts to come in with ease. Now, when that happens, you can't contract again. You can't shrink back down because, oh my God, there's abundance coming at me. I see this all the time. And most clients do it at least once. But once you get over that and you learn to stay open, it's kind of wild how well life can treat you. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's perfect. But boy, life becomes a lot more fun. So what I'm saying is today, I want to invite you into noticing what wants to leave. What wants to leave your reality? What are you holding on to that it's time to let go of? Because the magic in letting go is a lot of times when you finally let go of the attachment and the aversion, that's the secret. You're not really letting the thing go. You're letting go of the attachment and the aversion. It either leaves your life and something better comes in, or the very thing you let go of comes back in spades. And oftentimes it's the very thing you let go of. And then you pick something bigger, you pick something better. And with time, you begin to realize that it's not the thing you're attracting that matters. It's the energy that you cultivate from letting go that finally brings you to a place of peace and happiness. So if you're interested in the topic of this video and you want to learn more about letting go or energetic embodiment, definitely go to my website, brianbajan.com, and sign up. There'll be a link in this video, and sign up to the mailing list, because we will be releasing a membership site and some content soon to really go deep into this stuff. I will also be putting more of this material on this channel, so definitely hit that like button if you really resonate with this content, because it's going to get deeper and it's going to cover all the stuff that I talked about today in a much more detailed way. So in closing, all I want to say is that your signature vibration is always attracting. And if you want to learn more about letting go, you want me to do a video course on letting go, definitely put a comment in the video.